So what you're going to do is, attached to this video, there's going to be this folder of resources that if you download, you'll have access to the code that was written for the game, and I've commented each section of it, so you can kind of look through and kind of, if you miss anything within the video, you can always go back and look at it. I've also got the two images that you're going to have, so one for the Piñata and one for the confetti, and then there's also the SWF of the the functional game, and also the source file for Stencyl. If you want to kind of pick your way through that, and here's the actual file itself. This though I'm going to close, and I'm going to create myself a new game. Let's do that real quick. So I'm going to create myself a blank game. I'm going to call it Piñata Death Fun Times, I guess. I'll call it a Piñata Simulator. Much easier. Your default size is going to be 640 by 480. You should just be good to leave it at that for this. Let's give it a quick moment. And what you're going to be presented with is kind of an empty palette, essentially. Now, the easiest way to think about Stencyl works is it's kind of like a theatre, in that your theatre has a scene, and within that scene you have your actors, and those actors behave in a certain way based on the script that you give them, which is, in the case of Stencyl works, your events. So we're going to first create our scene. So let me just maximize this. So we're going to create our scene just by clicking on that dotted area in the middle. I'm going to call this level. Leave all the other settings the same. Oh, except the color. So I'm going to change the properties to. I'm going to make it kind of like a color that's not going to burn my eyes out. Now, before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a piece of code that is going to reload the level. So when your piñatas are all dead, you can go back and reload the level. So I'm going to go to Events. It's on the top tab here. I'm going to add myself a new event, and that event is going to be an input-based event. There's a bunch of different events that you can find here. Each do different things. But the one we're going to want is input, and once you've kind of triggered this happening, then we can kind of make something happen within the game. So we're going to do an any key based event. So if any key on the keyboard is pushed, we're going to make something happen. So for example, have the level reload. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to, obviously the term for level within Stencyl is scene, so we're going to reload the scene rather than the level. The reason we need to find out that word and specifically identify it as that word, because we're going to search for it in this section here. Search for it. It'll bring up all the related words. So I just need to scroll down here and find one that's related. So I can grab this chunk of code here. Now, and I know for a fact that you could do this with a reload function. So what I could do is I could right click on this and click this little bit of code here, which will find this piece of code in the palette and highlight it. And what that will do is it will bring me to this chunk of code, which will do it a little bit more efficiently, because I don't need to reload the scene. I don't need to find another scene. I just need to reload the current one. So I'm going to reload and fade out for half a second, and then fade back in for half a second. Keep that number reasonably low, because otherwise you'll find yourself waiting for a very long time to get back into your level. So yeah, you've done your first chunk of code. So now if we just click test game, we should be able to see what that looks like. So what we should see is, when you push a button, the screen fades out, and after a couple of seconds it fades. So after a second it should fade back in. There's nothing particularly fancy in the level yet for us to know what's happening, but should be able to tell. Okay. So yeah, like when I push a button, it reloads the level. So I'm just going to leave it here for now, and then in the next video we're going to go through creating your first actor and getting you started with that.